is the youth coordinator for Campaign Life Coalition, Canada's oldest and largest national pro-life organization. Since 2010, she has toured the country to talk to youth, to motivate them to become active in the pro-life movement. And she's appeared on many radio and television programs. She's actually a regular on The Arena with Michael Corrin. Alissa's in Ottawa this week, though, touring schools here, and she's joining me live in the studio to discuss her school visits and the upcoming National March for Life. So thanks for kicking off the week with us, Alissa.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for saying my name right. Nobody gets bonus points.
Well, you have done a lot of appearances, so people are starting to get to know your face. And you obviously are passionate about defending life and your involvement in the pro-life movement. How and when did this all start for you?
It started when I was 13 years old. A friend, a pen pal, before we had Facebook, I had a pen pal, and she invited me to go on this pro-life tour with her. And I didn't know what it was, and I later found out, obviously, by joining that it was something called the Show the Truth Tour. So I spent a week outside 3 times a day for an hour and a half holding up these big graphic images of aborted babies to the public and really seeing the public reaction, getting involved with the apologetics element of it, and just that really sparked my enthusiasm for the pro-life movement. And since then, haven't been able to get those pictures out of my head, and it really made me more serious. And growing up in high school, really kind of that reflected in my studies and my extracurricular activities. And then was so happy when I finally got the job at Campaign Life Coalition after graduating. So it really started when I was 13, and it's just grown from there.
Wow. So obviously, you're okay with the debates. Like you've become comfortable. Do you find that hard sometimes to still, respond to the reaction of the public?
No, not at all. I mean, it's after doing it for a while, you pretty much get the same things, and you really have to figure out how to answer it in a way that people will understand, and in an effective way and in a short way, obviously. So the whole point of our activism is to engage people in the debate, is to talk to people about abortion at all ages, from the high school level to people on the streets. We just want the debate, we want the discussion, because we do have the winning side, and so it's very easy to convince people to come over, and we can do that one by one.
So you talked about your involvement as a young person. What is it about motivating the youth as activists that's so important for Campaign Life Coalition?
Well, the majority of abortions, first and foremost, are done from people between the ages of 13 and 25. So it's really important to educate the young girls at that age about the risks of contraception and then going on to abortion and the side effects and what happens to your body and what happens to your emotions, psychological side effects and all that, not to mention what happens to the baby. So I think it's really important that way. And yeah, just taking it to the streets. When we're talking to young people on the street, a lot of people just say what they heard on the news or on the television, and it's really interesting to get a young person's perspective on the pro-life side that can effectively portray that message. And another very positive side effect is that politicians listen to young people, and so when young people go in and they visit their MPs in their constituency offices, or even in Ottawa, politicians are way more likely to listen to them. So it's very important to get young people to go and do that kind of lobbying side as well.
It's cool to hear you say that, because we have this social justice initiative that we just kicked off called The Power of One. And it really is all about how this generation, they want to be a leader, they want to stand up, they want to make a difference. And what you're saying is they actually are in the best position to do that. They have almost the most power. Yeah,
most definitely. We've had so many examples, but just the ones off the top of my head, we just took about a dozen young people to the United Nations. And it was the 57th Commission on the Status of Women, and the theme was violence against women, and it was all young, mostly young girls. There was a few young men between the ages of 18 and about 27, and it was really interesting because in the main events, when you had hundreds of people in, and they took questions, no matter where you were, even if you were at the back of the room and you were a young woman and you raised your hand to ask a question, they would automatically choose you. So you have a lot more
Priority.
Power than you think. Yeah.
So Alissa Golob is in Ottawa talking to students. What are you going to be talking about specifically in the schools this week?
Just the first part of it is basically to portray the pro-life side from a scientific and logical perspective, just that the fetus is a human being and a person, and then go on to the apologetic side, what about rape? What about back alley abortions? What about a woman's right to choose? All the main kind of arguments you get when it comes to abortion. So really address those. And then the last part is how to become active in your city, in your province, in your country when it comes to the pro-life movement. So what you can do in Ottawa, in Canada, right in your backyard, and how you can be involved in so many different ways, and how young people are really grouping together across the country to do those same things.
Okay. So real quick then, I don't want to list off the schools, but you'd probably know if you're listening, if your student, your kid is going to be getting a visit from Alissa. I'm sure you'll hear about it. But how can people, even just for future tours, get you to come and speak to their youth? Is there a way that they can do that?
Yeah, well, we have a website, campaignlifecoalition.com. We're all over Facebook, Campaign Life Coalition Youth. Tweet us at Alissa Golob or at Campaign Life. And, I'll get any of those messages. Just invite us to come. Sometimes I take another young guy with me. So there's a young girl and a young guy there in the high schools talking about this. But we're pretty easy to find. We're all over the internet. So just send us a message.
Very cool. Okay, finally, Alissa, before I let you go, you are one of the main organizers for the National March for Life. Parliament Hill, it's May 9th. So before we end our time here together, can you just talk for a moment to people who have not yet attended a March for Life? Maybe what to expect or why it's important they attend, just a little something.
Well, every year in the second week of May, there's a huge march, National March for Life. It's the largest rally on Parliament Hill. Last year, we had over 20,000 people there. And it's mostly like 90% are young people, but it's open to people of all ages, anyone who's pro-life. And it's at noon, and we basically walk through downtown Ottawa. All the streets are closed off. And we're just there to represent the pro-life movement, to send a message to the government and to our Prime Minister that this is not a closed issue to us. This is something that we care about. We're the future generation of taxpayers, of parents, and we're not going to let this go. And so every year the rally grows and grows and grows, and it's a great way to be enthused with, to meet all the people, all the pro-lifers across the province and across the country, but also to publicly exemplify your pro-life stance and to really give that witness.
I do love, though, that it's respectful. It's silent. There's no...
Yeah, it's a rally. It's to really encourage people, and it's not anything controversial. It's just there to really encourage people about the pro-life movement, and that's it. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, welcome to Ottawa again,
Thank you.
And we'll see you at the March for Life again. The march is May 9th. You can get details on our website already, CHRI.ca. And if you're a student, then be watching for Alissa in your school this week. Alissa Golob, the youth coordinator of Campaign Life Coalition. Thanks, Alissa.
Thank you.